Good morning, afternoon, night, or whatever. Welcome to another episode of New Orleans Social Club Super Exclusive Vampire Venue. The scene is set at Zocre Voodoo Shop at the south end of Andry Street in the lower 9th Ward, where Henri Delapour has just messaged or called or somehow got into contact with his Primogen Leif Erikson and asked him to please come and stop by the shop at his earliest convenience. Shortly thereafter, he arrives to the ramshackle little shop with a brand new ornament, shrunken head, hanging in the window. And he's with an eye patch wearing friend of his. Henri opens the door and ushers them to come in. Please, my friends, come inside. Come inside.
Henri Delapour, may I introduce a friend of mine, Jake Deville. See, you both have French names. It's going to work.
He clasps his hands in front of him and gives you like a little bow. He's like, pleasure to meet you, Monsieur Deville. Welcome to my shop.
Jake will nod respectively in the direction of his new acquaintance, and he'll wander around the shop slowly, kind of peering at some of the weird objects and pieces of various interests around the shop, poking the odd thing every now and then, and leaves the other two to talk in the background.
If you see anything you like, please feel free to pick it up. Except for, and he points over to like the east wall, that mask, do not touch it. It will make your hair fall out.
He looks at you over his shoulder and smiles the friendly warning. Steers clear of the mask, but spends most of his time just looking through the various object d'art in the glass cabinets.
I'm glad you called me, Henri. Actually, I had a question I wanted to ask you.
Okay. Is it a question you feel comfortable asking in front of your friend?
I think we can trust him. He looks at Jake and kind of smiles. He's kind of been left a little bit too much to his own devices, so I thought our clan, the friendly clan, will help him. Introduce him to the right people. Make sure he doesn't meet the wrong ones. Well, not unless we're kicking the crap out of him.
I trust your judgment.
He's alright.
So what is your question?
Father Amos has been patrolling the docks.
Mm-hmm.
And he got warned by a voice inside of his head, accompanied by rhythmical drumming, that if he proceeded any further, he would die. It was the drumming. You mentioned something once about drums when we were talking about a mutual acquaintance that had annoyed the crap out of us.
Yes. Some say. Pardon me. I am still not at 100% after being reduced to ashes at the docks. Some say that, well, certain of the lower, he like reaches both hands up to the sky and shakes them, are particularly drawn to certain drum beats. He like takes a circular African like skin drum off the wall with a little stick that has like the top of it made to look like a skull. Starts beating out a little thing, a little like drum beat. Often in ceremonies, these are used to cause the attention of certain spirits. Certain drum beats you see are associated with certain spirits, and therefore when you play them with the intent of contacting something, they are more likely to respond than anything else. if you are asking if I put the hex on Zilla Sombra, I did not.
I was more concerned that maybe someone who knows some of the same secrets you do is working for the other side.
Yes, that would be quite troubling. I have heard in recent nights talk of a presence of the Serpents of the Light. If I am not mistaken, many of them share a similar faith to my own and may be privy to some of these secrets. Although, I have not heard of them being able to send messages through the drums.
Nice djembe, he said, looking at the drum.
I made it myself. The materials are hard to come by, at least in America.
Yes. And he sort of, whilst he's got his back to Jake, he just sort of like flicks his eyes across in Jake's direction, sort of trying to say, don't go too far, if you want to try and read his expression.
Are either of you gentlemen hungry?
I will happily drink with you.
Alright then. Henri goes towards the back of the shop. There's like a curtain of beads covering a doorway, pushes them to the side. There's several like clanging pots and pans being heard, and he brings out a large smoking or steaming stew pot. I'm gonna roll a craft roll to see how well I cooked. And he cooked really, really fucking well. It's a big pot full of like blood and just like human blood, not vampire blood or anything. And stew meat and some carrots and like other bits of food and a lot of salt. If you are not much for the solid foods, simply
Drink the rainbow.
I can give you a spoon with a hole in it, and you can scoop out what you don't like.
He just takes basically a bowl, and rather than use the spoon to eat out of the bowl, he just drinks from the bowl.
Yeah, it's just like human blood. It's a little old.
Jake leans in, has a tentative smell of the thing that obviously you roll particularly high, so I imagine it actually smells quite good.
Yeah, Henri's like a pretty good chef. He's very good with the like Haitian and Cajun cooking, so it's just a very spicy gumbo made from blood.
I'll take the ladle and I'll stir it around a bit and take out a mostly liquid load of this gumbo. Take a quick gulp and actually quite enjoy the taste of it, and take another more filling bowlful and sit slowly drinking it with as much etiquette as he can, given he's using a wooden spoon to do it, but actually being quite polite while eating his soupy gumbo.
And Henri just says, like, he's all bandaged up, by the way, I forgot to tell you, all from like head to toe bandages with a suit on over it, but you can see his mouth, like, really wide, smiling. He's just so happy that some people fucking eventually, or like finally, have taken me up on my food offer. And he's really pleased that it was good this time, because the last time it was meh. But it was a bum who was drinking it, so... I'm so happy to see someone who is not homeless and starving enjoying my cooking. It does so reinforce my belief that I am the premier chef of kindred cuisine in New Orleans.
Well, it's always rude to refuse someone's hospitality when they're sitting at home like this. Thank you for the food.
Think nothing of it. If you ever want more, please let me know. I have many ingredients, and cooking does relax me. So,
I need to meet up with that little Kasif guy, Chris.
yes.
Well, surprising Chris, as I now call him.
He, I think, is an asset to our organization. I have not seen such axe-handling skills since the Woodsman and the Little Red Riding Hood.
And the wolf.
Well, yes, but the wolf did not have any sort of axe skills.
Apart from the taking of the axe.
Well, yes, he was very skillful in absorbing the blows. Anyway, why I called you down here is I have concerns of my own regarding well, it's as funny that you should bring up Chris concerning mutual enemies of ours and his this city becoming how you say pit of snakes.
Yes.
The prince is well aware of this and is even facilitating it during a Sabbat incursion, no less.
I wouldn't say he's facilitating it. I'd say, are you aware of what he's planning?
Why don't you tell me, and I'll let you know if I knew it already.
There are a number of Setites in the city
Yes.
that we already know. There are more that we don't.
Right.
So Baby Legs, our little Setite courier, I can't honestly remember his name. I think he's always going to be Baby Legs to me. Has been basically told, on the pain of an awful lot of pain, that all the Setites must come and present themselves to the prince, and if they do, they will be allowed to have a voice at the table. Now, when he said that, I was a bit shocked, and I said, they don't get a vote, do they? And he said, no, just a voice. But all of them must present themselves. We get to know who they all are. Once we know who they are, then we can start controlling them. Or at least making sure we watch them. That's his plan.
I was actually at the meeting with Baby Leg's brother, the other O'Shea. That is his name, by the way, O'Shea.
Baby Legs O'Shea. Okay.
Yes, and also his brother. They share a communal haven. And while in theory, this would be quite an asset to us, is it not part of the snake's nature to hide in plain sight?
Yes. That's why there's another little factor going on. And as you know, not all of the Nosferatu are strictly Nosferatu, if you know what I mean.
I think I may know.
But it
He
doesn't
just
matter.
smiles a little bit. No.
And he's smiling as he looks at you, and he said, that's because all the Nosferatu that claim loyalty to the Nosferatu are Nosferatu. Including John.
Yes. I heard he was not as fortunate as I.
He had the, he was beaten pretty badly. He's currently sleeping safely.
Yes,
Right.
I heard this as well.
Later
I don't
tonight.
think that the snakes can be
Trusted.
trusted to be as forthcoming as the Nosferatus. They will give us the bare minimums that they have to
Oh,
secure their voice.
yes, of course. They will use the first 5 or 6 faces of truth whilst keeping the other 9 or 10 faces hidden, enough to keep us interested, not enough to do them harm.
They deserve no voice. They do not help us with the Sabbat, and they do not adhere to our traditions or to our way of thinking.
You know, Chris seemed to exhibit a number of talents of their particular clan.
Yes.
As did John Granite.
Yes. And these are men who hunt the snakes.
So, I'd much try and put it this way. Are they dangerous? Yes. Are they sneaky? Yes. Will they tell us all the truth? No. Will this force them to reveal perhaps more than they would have without us doing this? Definitely yes. It will give us a very good foundation to start undermining them.
They do not need to be undermined. They need to be driven from the city. Our prince's name is Patrick, for God's sakes, and he is consulting with the snakes. I do not like the way he's giving many concessions to those not of our order in hopes that they will return his good face. I think that he deludes himself on how much control he has over the city. Is he prince in title? Yes, but is he able to enforce any of the things he is doing? I think not.
Henri.
And that is why he gives concessions to us, hoping that we will act as his loyal muscle.
No. Shall I tell you a little secret?
He looks over at Jake the Eye Patch.
Jake the Eye Patch.
Should you? Should you tell me this?
I think so.
Okay.
We are not the muscle for the prince.
Well,
We
yes.
help them. That's for certain. We are loyal to the Camarilla. Well, at least I can say I am. John's loyal to the amount of money I ensure he gets every month. And I'm sure Chris will turn around to be probably fairly equally as loyal. You? Let's face it, you like a good fight.
I do. It is the revolutionary blood.
And as long as we can put Sabat in front of you on a regular basis, you'll be a happy man.
No, I do not. No, that is a common misconception. Does it bring me great joy to inflict the curses of Ziloa upon my enemies? Yes, of course. However, I am not afforded enough to consistently put my life on the line for the prince whose policies I do not agree with.
Well, let's face it, there are always going to be some things that someone does that you're not that keen on.
Yes, but this man is a fool, if I may speak candidly.
No, do.
He is a fool, but a charismatic fool, and that is the most dangerous type of fool. I think that he is not as strong as he would have led us to believe in the beginning, and I think that he has his priorities far, far out of whack. We are at a considerable place of danger, and I think he takes it more lightly, falling back on the concept of us as a solid ivory tower rather than that being true in practice. I think that he is able to withstand a good amount of physical punishment, and that has made him overconfident in himself and his associates. His sheriff has not attended one single battle against the Sabbat has not been there one single time that I have seen to prevent him from falling to harm. And yet he works doing his political song and dance, putting who he wants in positions so that he has yes men. I think that he believes that you and I are on that list. And while that may not be a bad thing for us, it just goes to show how short-sighted he is.
The prince is there because I want the prince to be there.
Is there not someone you could control more directly and who would at least have us rally together to repel our enemies and then begin on the small bureaucratic nonsense?
I think from the point of view of bringing us together, he's not done too bad a job. He's certainly done better than Marcellus did before him.
I think he has done nothing. I think that he sends his... and Henri will, like, open up a drawer, and he'll take out a stack of paper, and it's just a bunch of, like, fancy, gay-ass stationery with fucking broken wax seals on the back. I think that he sends out his packets of letters, giving instructions to his lackeys, and anyone they happen to drag along with them, and who happen to be put in a life-or-death situation, have been performing admirably. But I think that his military command is lacking, to say the least.
Indeed, I would agree with that. Why do you think Loretta is now War Master?
Because I do not think she could do anything else. She does not... she was wearing the breastplate. I've not seen this even in my lifetime.
Yes. But more importantly, who made her War Master?
I do not know. I do not care.
I did.
Well, good job.
Because I'm putting other pieces into position. You organised a battle against the Sabbat. Madison the Rouge will organise the investigation that sits behind it. And we will have a solid city. The Toreador being brought into line. Our more feisty friends are being educated in the ways of cooperation. The Venture have been restructured. I mean, come on, I'm only one guy. How much do you want me to get done? It's been 3 weeks.
My friend, it is not what I want you to do. It is what I want... I don't know how to articulate this. You are doing plenty, but the others are not doing enough, and the prince is satisfied with this mediocrity.
Well, unfortunately, most people are like that.
Yes, but we are not people, and we cannot afford such luxuries.
No. No. They keep rubbing at the blackened end of the fingers on one hand, which is still not quite healed from the battle. It seems to me that your concerns, I can understand. I ask you this. Give me another week with the Setites, and I will give John and Chris enough targets to keep them occupied till Christmas and well into the new year.
All right, then.
And I'll say one thing, if we catch them in one falsehood, one lie, one misdirection, one trick, one piece of subterfuge, I suspect that they're the ones throwing this drug cult around. Certainly fits their profile.
As they are, I believe. The O'Shea brother had intimate knowledge of the drug and its effects on kindred. So, it would make sense that it is at least perhaps coming from them, if not being manufactured by them directly.
Do we know if it's addicted to kindred?
He did not say, but I would imagine so. He says that it would compromise the loyalties of anybody who has consumed it. And that made the prince very, very pensive when he said this. Henri taps on his giant gray deformed dead guy eye. I have a sharp eye and a sharper memory, and it was very subtle, but there are some things that Prince is withholding from us about perhaps compromised individuals.
It's not something I'm aware of. I am involved in a number of his confidences.
That is another issue. His inner circle is so large that there are less people outside of it. Exactly. Exactly.
I know that was going. I will agree that he is an optimist.
But not a very good one.
He's alive, which kind of... And he's still Prince. So he's not doing too badly so far. And he's had a number of people try and kill him.
Oh,
yes,
he has had quite a bit of assistance when people have come to kill him.
I have to say it's amazing the fact that they send idiots to kill him every time. But
yes, it is strange. Even idiot Assamites. I did not know that those existed.
Yes.
And
we have a number of people captured that we need to interrogate.
And Henri kind of his head sort of turns towards that aperture in the wall with the the beads hanging down. Yes.
I think that is, we want to be careful where we keep any of the Sabbath.
Well, we should just put them out somewhere with a lot of fresh air and sunshine. Like a tulip.
I kind of like the sound of that.
Henri will reach into the pot on the table with the ladle and take out a big scoop, one piece of which has a tooth. It's a big chunk of meat with a tooth in it. And he just kind of swallows the whole spoonful at once. And rubs his chest as the tooth scrapes his esophagus.
Yes. That would be a perfect place. And Life just turns and points out of the window and points at a building in the distance.
That is the location you have decided?
Pretty. Looks like a large phallic thing thrusting up with two things in the lower area here.
I do not have a rectangular cock. I do not know what is phallic about this building. And then he looks at your rock hands. He's like, everyone has different perceptions, though. Well, if this is the place, I'm sure that I could find you a few people to interrogate and have them there by tomorrow evening. Or even later on this evening. I didn't realize you dropped. I was saying, if you need a place, if you've decided on this place, I could probably find you some candidates for interrogation and have them there by later tonight or even tomorrow evening, if that is better for you.
Well, it's more that if we're going to dispose of them, it's a nice high place. They'll turn to dust and blow away in the morning breeze.
Yes, but we should get the information, at least all that we can first.
It would also be interesting to try this drug cult out on them as well.
We should wake up Granite before we do this.
Yes.
From what I've gathered, it sends the kindred or even the people into a berserker frenzy.
I was going to say, I've got to meet with Chris. Do you want to come along?
Alright. Hold on a minute. And Henri goes behind the curtain, comes back out in a cleaner suit, and he's got like a stack of Tupperware containers, and he starts to fill them from the pot. Waste not, want not. Puts
Indeed.
the lids on, takes them behind. Oh, before I forget, he hands a business card to Monsieur Deville. This is the card for the shop. It has the phone number and my personal number on the back. If you're ever needing more food or a consultation, feel free to call me.
Jake's still been eating. He's been, over the course of a conversation, been filling up his bowl pretty much every time, so he's been eating very constantly throughout. He nods at you with gratitude, pockets that, and you see him write on a piece of paper and a notebook, and it's his name and a number, and he hands that to you again with his mouth still pretty full, and again nods with thanks and carries on finishing up the last of the bowl.
Henri smiles and tucks the number up under his hat, and then goes back behind the curtain, brings out one of the Tupperware containers and hands it to Jake. Here, for the road.
Jake finishes his last mouthful, takes it with a big smile and says, he claps you on the shoulder. Thank you.
Anytime.
Come, my friend, let us go. Do you have your van, or do we need to pick up transport?
I can have my ghoul transport us if you would prefer.
He wanders outside, and he sort of waves. He wanders outside, and it's got about sort of 10, maybe 11 minutes before outside you hear doot doot, and just this low thrumming of an engine. And you see there's a green El Camino with like flames down the side and plates from sort of the northern parts of the US.
What is that?
I've been told they call it a lowrider.
We are all going to fit in that?
It's got back seats and front seats.
Well, you certainly didn't pick this in order to remain inconspicuous, did you?
It's New Orleans. What's inconspicuous?
Well,
At Mardi Gras, this will fit in a bit more.
Not long to Mardi Gras.
I have no objection to riding in this car, I suppose.
I found it around the corner. It was really the nearest car I could easily steal.
Well,
And to be frank, it doesn't look like I'm the first.
you are going to be held responsible for any of the deaths of the police officers who will no doubt pull us over.
They don't need to die, merely persuaded otherwise.
Well, perhaps, but they're going to die if they pull us over. I will let you know ahead of time. How do you think I make such delicious stew?
He looks down at the gruel in his pot and looks up. Well,
Let me roll a subterfuge really quick. Hold on. All right, I did all right. I'm joking, of course.
he looks down at it, looks up at you, smiles and says, I prefer to avoid casualties. If all we need to do is convince them that we don't need to drive any quicker than the law provides, then we'll be fine. Anyway, I'm sure you can drive this particular automobile of yours with the skill required.
I am becoming quite practiced at it. And the car does a little bunny hop.
Kids these days.
And he opens the door. Jake opens the door and gestures for Henri to follow him into the car.
Oh, thank you. Henri will climb in. Wait for the other two.
And he'll close the door, go round the side to the driver's side, and make sure that the door is open again for Lee.
Life hadn't got out, he just basically beat the horn. So,
All right, you okay? Well, in that case, you'll get in the other side, other empty seat, and put on the seat belt with a little bit of turbidity about the new riding, and sit there trying to balance the lovely gruel that he's got in its tub on his belly as best he can.
And yeah, basically the car sort of pulls away with a gentle sort of, a deep pull, multiple cylinder, large liters of American engine. And I'm just going to do a drive roll just to see if I sort of manage to drive safely and not alert or make any of the police look like. And he drives absolutely smoothly. And you're going down the I-95. He comes off a slip road and sort of circles round on the slip road, comes down, takes a turning off to the left, which brings you up a road that comes underneath the motorway. And there's a warehouse there that, if you're observant, look up, is completely covered from above by the flyover of the motorway. No cameras seem to be around. It's an old warehouse district, and it's obviously one of the areas that was pretty badly affected by Hurricane Katrina those few years ago. The warehouse itself is brick and it's quite happily standing, but you can see where the water level caused damage to it. And standing by the doorway is the sort of young, lithe figure of Chris.
As we approach the door, looks at you and looks at this Chris character he's not seen before.
Well, do any of you have Allspecs?
Nope.
Then you don't see me.
Oh, I guess he's not here. I guess we should just go home then.
As I'm driving up the road towards the warehouse, I will see if I can see you, just in case I catch that before I get into range of your obfuscation, which I doubt is that many meters.
Oh, meters.
Chances of me doing this.
I'll do a wit stealth.
Cool.
Wow, my fun.
This is where you make me look really silly. Yeah, you gotta make me look silly. So I got one success.
3 successes.
Yeah.
My obviously
I
will not be in range, but I'm well hidden in the shadows.
This green sort of lowrider El Camino with upstate Massachusetts plates comes sort of roaring up this road and sort of comes skidding round the corner and sort of pulls up in front of the warehouse. And you recognise Leif Erikson, who is currently not hiding his true visage. And you may recognise Henri, and you don't recognise Jake. I don't believe
Jake is the first one to jump out and again opens the door for his 2 guests.
Thank you.
Has a look around the various outside areas of the warehouse. Just a cursory look around.
Leaf, I was meaning to tell you before. Sorry, Matt. This is snakes. I have given them a warning to stay, or keep a wide berth from the lower 9th ward. I just thought you should know for your negotiations. I informed them that it was dangerous for them to be there.
it is your domain. Be warned, obviously, that the rules of hospitality no longer apply because you haven't invited them in. Yeah. But beware of the sick. Tradition.
Sometimes it is dark and you see an intruder and you just have to pull the trigger without thinking.
Yes. Remember, the important thing is not to get caught, because it reflects badly on all of us. And all of us will hold you responsible.
Am I a neonate, Leaf? Am I an incompetent?
No, I didn't really need to say it either.
I know. So why did you say it?
More for the education of our little colleague here.
I see.
As you step out of the car and you come into range so people can see you and head up towards the warehouse door, in one of the broken cracks of the roofing, like a crossbar across the roof that's sort of caved in slightly, a figure jumps out and lands in front of the door with a familiar voice which says, "Oh, it's you guys."
Henri will take his hand out of his jacket.
I'm going to roll my wits and alertness just to see if I can be utterly cool. Rather than seeing him, it's more just to be nonchalant.
You startled me. I almost shot you.
I'm glad you came out at last, Chris.
Well, you came up in that interesting vehicle. I didn't know who you were.
Yes. I said we should have taken my car, but he wants to show off the bouncy mobile.
I thought you didn't
No.
use Green's Leaf.
I just try and keep in practice.
I see. Well,
And steal the odd car every now and then.
true, but this one's a little flashy, don't you think? Cops will be on you in less than a day. If this guy's a good
See,
kid.
this is why I like him. He is smart and he thinks like me.
I think it was the same advice I gave him yesterday.
I'm a sponge, Mr. Erickson. What can I say?
Life goes up to the door of the warehouse and takes the padlock off the door. Not that it was actually particularly well locked, or locked at all, it's just been pushed back into position, and opens the door to the warehouse. And again, you go in, it's pretty much an empty space apart from the large wooden block, a saw through, complete circle of a tree trunk near one end of the warehouse with various sharp implements, and a crowbar stuck into it.
So, what can I do for you guys?
Well, we thought it was about time we looked after our little rocky friend.
I see. And which one of you three are doing this?
Hmm. Well, technically I'm his primogen, so I will.
Chris will roll his perception empathy. It's not very good, but he'll roll it anyway. Just to see if there's any sort of malice or ill intent. I expect
No.
there is, but
If
he's
that's-
his character. With 3 successes.
You read a slight reluctance. Not from the point of view of malice or intent, but because he knows what this means.
Well, I don't like it, Leaf. I want to go on record that I'm against this, but seeing as there's no one else in this blasted city that we can get hold of that can do it, at least know anyone that we can trust.
I mean, I could do it, but it would be increasingly unpleasant for all involved.
Jake's busy slurping a couple of fingers full of the slightly cooled soup from his box that he brought with him. He's looking around. He seems to be a little befuddled, not only with this stranger he hasn't met before, but he turns to leave and goes, "I'm sorry, but what is it that you're doing exactly?" And no offense, but
Chris.
who's your friend here?
This is Chris. Chris, this is Jake DeVille of Rougeau. Chris is currently an honorary Nosferatu, the prettiest one we've ever had.
Well, I wouldn't know about that. Henri has his moments.
Yes, but it's more of a refined charm than your youthful cast.
Okay, well, who's this Joker then?
This is Jake.
Jake
He
DeVille.
is a recent entry into the city. I knew of him from my days a little bit further west of.
Alright. You trustworthy?
Yes. He wouldn't be here otherwise.
He
Plus
holds
he's
out
good.
his hand to Chris.
Chris will take it reluctantly. You can see that Chris is quite a cautious character. His clothes indicate that he lives pretty much on the street, or at least close enough to it. It's usually quite torn. He has a new set of clothes now, but they haven't survived the Mars and general crap that he gets up to every night.
As Jake goes to sort of stretch out his hand to shake hands with Chris, I'm going to make a perception alertness roll. I'm just wondering if you've still got the cleaver stuff down the back of your pants. So as the jacket stretches as you reach out, I'm just seeing if I can sort of see the shape of the handle.
Yeah, do a perception alertness roll.
Or is this for him or me?
No, this is for Jake. Yeah, I got 3 successes.
Yeah, you would have seen that I do still have it.
He doesn't make any note of it. I'm expecting Chris is probably young. He's probably got a farm and that stuff somewhere.
He does, but it's not like on his person. He's just like, you could probably see it in the corner. He's just like buried it into one of the walls.
Are you giving us an ocular pat down right now?
No, it was just actually just Jake. I just looked at his ass as he stretched out his hand.
Alright.
Yeah, stop addressing people with your eyes, Leaf.
He wanders over to the block and said, "Well, if we move this, then we can get things sorted."
Need a hand?
He picks up the block and kind of, picks it up, moves to the side, and underneath, you can sort of see the sign of basically a trapdoor.
Show
But
off.
it's kind of sort of long, and sort of thin rather than it's kind of long rather than square. It's kind of oblong shape, and he lifts up the trapdoor.
Leaf,
Yeah.
what are the chances of him waking up swinging?
pretty good. That's why we got the block.
Yes, would you like me to disarm him?
No. It's alright.
Are you sure? Have you seen the fucking guy?
Yes, I've seen him.
Alright. Jake, I would I would suggest you stand back, as they are going to wake up a monster.
Jake steps back. You see him take his jacket off, his kind of 3/4 length black jacket. He rolls up the sleeves on his shirt, and you see that he does have a meat cleaver tucked into the back of his trouser, but he keeps his sleeves rolled up and kind of crosses his hands over his chest and looks on with a look of being alert and aware, but not keeping a menacing or violent look to him.
Henri thinks another chef.
Well,
Leaf basically goes up the trapdoor, and as you kind of look down, just almost like about 4 inches below the floor of this warehouse is water. A rather dark, dank, nasty-looking muddy water at that. And he just sort of walks down the steps, and it just sort of head just disappears under the water. And he's gone about 5 or 10 minutes. And actually, I'm going to.
So what's your story, Blinky?
you see him turn at you with quite a look of anger in his one eye, and he shoots back pretty much straight away. He says, "Well, I tend to make friends quite easily, but people who take the piss, I tend to make enemies of just as quickly."
Well, that's a term of endearment.
Well, my name is Jake, and if you want to call me by any name, then Jake will do fine. As for why I'm here doing a favour for Mr. Lee. He asked me to come, so I'm here. And also to eat your friend Henri's rather tasty gumbo as well, if he's got any more going.
I've already given you half a pot and an entire Tupperware container. I do appreciate that you like it, but gluttony is a sin, you know.
Perhaps next week.
Oh, whenever you like. Tomorrow, even. Chris, you should really try it if you've got the stomach for it.
No. Thank you, Henri, but I haven't been able to eat solids for a while.
There's a lot of blood in it.
But how much else?
I would say 60-40. 60 being the blood.
And Jake goes over to the small plastic tub that he's got. He takes it, picks it up, opens it in front of you, and you can see that inside most of it is, there's a few odd bits of meat floating around that look like kind of broiled beef. Unless you
I got like 6+ successes on the craft, so it probably smells mad good.
So it is a pretty tasty looking gumbo with possibly a few bits of mystery meat, but nothing that you want to question too much. But it does actually smell and taste if you were to try any. Quite good.
Okay. So we can eat this, right?
Well, you can drink the broth. I don't know if you want to eat the solids. Like you said, you may not have the stomach for it.
Alright, okay. Is there something you can do after a while, or...?
Oh, no, I am just very practiced with cooking for kindred.
No. I'll give it a go. There's his pushing the spoon down and then carefully looking at it, but with 6 successes, it does smell very good even for a vampire, and he takes a hefty sip from the thick broth.
It's like some delicious lady blood with a lot of Cajun spices in it.
That's... coughs up a bit of a clove. Good. It's good going in, but then Well, I suspect you say that I don't have the stomach for it.
Just throw it up later. It'll taste good a second time.
You say
Jake
so.
puts the lid on the top and puts it down on the floor again. Again, keeps his one remaining watchful eye on this trap door in the floor.
About 20 minutes pass, and everyone's starting to get a bit itchy about what the hell's gone on. And Chris, you definitely didn't think it took this long to put him down there. And you're about to start investigating for yourselves, especially Henri. When you just sort of see the top of Life's head appear up from the water, and then the top of his torso, and then the head and the legs of John Granite being sort of carried. And he sort of turns sideways as he's going up the steps to fit him through the trap door.
Ah, man. And Henri, throws a handful of dollar bills at Chris. You win, he survived.
And John
Not too
Granite
pricey.
is...
Don't go down and pick up the dollar bills.
It's like $13.
And
13
John's
bucks. I'll write that down.
completely covered in mud. It's almost like he's been buried in mud.
Is he alright? Shouldn't he be moving and stuff?
Well, it's a bit hard to feed someone your blood when they're underwater.
Ah, makes sense.
Amateur.
So who is
Right,
this person anyway?
Oh, but you should just describe him, by the way, because he's an enormous, stone gargoyle with wings.
He's about 7 foot tall, and he looks, whilst if Life looks like he's made out of marble, then this guy really does look like he's made out of some sort of granite. You can also see the veins of the rock running through various parts of his skin, various bumps. He's got a horned head. The grotesque that you would see on any classical cathedral. This is John Granite. He's a loyal friend. Life sort of carefully lays him down on the floor and sort of wipes the mud off his face and his eyes, and sort of takes the mud away from his ears, and sort of scoops the mud, sort of plop that had been, in his mouth, takes that out and sort of throws it aside, and just is generally just cleaning all around the face. You may not want to be here for this.
Step outside.
Step towards the end of the warehouse, because I might need your help getting away anyway.
I wouldn't leave you. I'm not afraid of Jean Granite.
I mean either, but he says, pumping 1 blood into his stamina and 2 blood into strength, just in case. He goes and gets some chains and basically binds the torso, not overly tightly, but securely, so his arms are literally restrained at his side and his legs are restrained together as well.
He's not going to be liked. He's not going to like waking up in chains.
I think the same thing. I think this may be an insult to him. Henri, makes a little weird symbol with his left hand at John Granite laying on the floor. Backs up, starts muttering something in French, very rhythmically.
I'll trust you. Leaf trusts you, and rather than when the chains are rejected, he lays them aside. He takes his wrist and he takes a knife, and after a bit of effort, cuts into the wrist. And it does take, you can almost hear the grating sound of the blade.
Use your teeth, you moron.
And cuts through. And he pours a goodly amount of blood into John's mouth.
Henri's gonna walk up after he does that, reach into somewhere in his jacket, put a fist up to his face and then blow like a thing full of red dust into John Granite's face, and then backs up and continues his chant.
Trust me, if I'm over knocked out, don't do that to me. That really would annoy me. And you wait.
How long does this usually take?
A few minutes.
Right. So, how you guys been since the vote?
I could be worse.
What happened at the
That
dock?
was sorry.
Oh, I heard there was going to be a big fight over at the dock. I wasn't able to go down as my business is up at the university kept me there, but I hear it was a good fight.
Unreal, like, point a finger over at Chris. This guy is quite the master of the axe.
There's not really much to master. You just wail on them and hope that they stop moving.
Well, that jump move impressed me. I do not mind telling you.
I don't know, man. I was frightened to my wits. Did you see that guy turn into black shit? Like, what the fuck was that?
I don't remember. Well, anybody got any cards? And with that, the scene will end as the four dudes sit around the just now stirring body of John Granite. Thanks. Stay beautiful.